All right, thank you. As I'm reminded this morning, the words of Winston Churchill, we will never surrender, a sign of the stiff British upper lip this morning, getting business back to normal as soon as possible.
That's right. Moments of silence were being held for the victims of this horrific attack that claimed the lives of 3 people. Members of the public joining a number of police officers just outside of New Scotland Yard, paying their respects to fallen police constable Keith Palmer.
And then just moments later in the House of Commons, another moment of silence. Now, we are standing by for the Prime Minister, Theresa May. She is expected to make a statement on the attacks in Parliament, probably in the next 20-25 minutes. You will see that live here on Breakfast Television. Many MPs already expressing condolences this morning.
As we begin our questions today, I think it's appropriate that we recommit ourselves to the values that this Parliament represents. Those who carry out such wicked and depraved actions as we saw yesterday can never triumph in our country, and we must ensure that it is not violence, hatred or division, but decency, goodness and tolerance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I join with you and my right honourable friend in expressing sincere condolences for the victims of the terrible atrocity yesterday, and in particular to the family of PC Keith Palmer.
7 people were arrested overnight in raids linked to yesterday's deadly terror attack in London. 4 people, including the attacker, were killed. This was the scene in Birmingham, just 2 hours northwest of London, where police conducted one of 6 police raids. They believe suspects may be linked to the horrific attack just outside of British Parliament that happened yesterday afternoon.
And this is what brought us here. It all happened around 2:30 local time in the afternoon when a car mowed down a number of pedestrians on the very popular Westminster Bridge before smashing into a fence surrounding the Houses of Parliament. After making his way to the grounds, the assailant stabbed an unarmed police officer. Police then opened fire, killing the attacker. The officer rushed to hospital, but has been pronounced dead. He is identified as a 48-year-old police constable Keith Palmer of the Metropolitan Police, a husband and father. 2 other people were killed on the Westminster Bridge as well. One identified as a Spanish citizen teaching in London. Distraught witnesses describing the horror.
It sounded like a car crash, but then you almost that crunch of a wheel on a curb. Then I saw the vehicle mount the curb, and it was coming out so quickly. I saw some people be hit in front of me, and then looked around me in shock because I could, see bodies and people, and it was all, a real shock.
We were actually on the bridge. We heard gunshots, what we thought was gunshots. Turned around, and we saw the car had ploughed into a lady underneath the wheel. You could hear screams. And then we heard gunshots again, and as we looked along the bridge, because we were only crawling along the bridge, there was bodies, literally.
Must have been about 10 bodies.
10, 12 bodies.
29 other people were rushed to hospital, 7 in critical condition. Police say they believe the attacker was acting alone, was inspired by international terrorism. No group so far has claimed responsibility. The Prime Minister calling the act sick and depraved.
And as we mentioned, in about half an hour's time, Prime Minister Theresa May will be speaking before the Commons. We will carry that live for you right here on Breakfast Television. And we are also updating our breaking news from the streets here at home. Highway 7 still closed between the 400 and Jane. It's now confirmed a homicide investigation in York region. Police responded to a crash. A car into a pole, Highway 7, just west of Jane, happened around 1:30 this morning. Officers found the male driver suffering from gunshot wounds. Police confirming again just a few minutes ago that that driver, that man, has died in hospital, but so far no arrest has been made. This investigation, of course, will be causing a major traffic headache for commuters. As Ross has been telling you, Highway 7 closed between the 400 and Jane. The northbound off-ramp from the 400 and Jane also closed. So far, no word on when all of this will reopen.
Questions this morning over whether commercial buildings should be required to have carbon monoxide detectors after a gas leak at a restaurant in the city's East End sends 18 people to hospital. It happened in this Mandarin near Eglinton and Birchmount. Neighboring buildings were also evacuated. It happened about 3 in the afternoon. Initially, the call was for a medical call, someone having trouble breathing. First responders quick to figure out there was actually a carbon monoxide leak. Most of those taken to hospital were staff members with low-level CO poisoning. Investigators still working to find the source of the gas. The restaurant expected to remain closed until further notice. In Ontario, carbon monoxide detectors are mandatory in homes, but not in commercial buildings. That is amazing.
It's interesting. It's actually unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay, there is so much more to come this morning. We'll be going to Washington, of course. This is a huge day for President Trump's administration that could make or break his next 4 years. Also coming up.
Have done a comprehensive...
And we are also following what's happening in London, Parliament resuming, and Prime Minister Theresa May expected to speak in minutes' time.